Jake Paul's dead. He's dead.
Joe Rogan has just launched a series of jabs at Jake Paul after a KO in sparring. Yep, after throwing verbal jabs at the YouTube-turned-boxer, this guy has finally let go of his hands, and boy is he pissed. The UFC commentator and the athlete had a heated confrontation that ended in an unexpected punch. So why is Joe all fired up, and what else do we know about this heated confrontation? Sit tight, because I've got the exclusive scoop right here for you.
Mike.
No.
He wants to fight Mike, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't give a if he's 55. That's still Mike Tyson.
Mike's in good shape.
Joe Rogan has just lost his temper at Jake Paul amidst his fight with Mike Tyson. Due to Mike's health, this fight will stay in jeopardy until the sound of the first bell, and Joe's not too happy about it. Paul's recent sparring fail is where he absolutely lost it. Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson's bond has only flourished over the years. You might even say that Joe is the president of the Mike Tyson fan club, so he's really concerned for the athlete's well-being. Joe Rogan is a prominent name in the fight world, and because of his no-nonsense approach, fans don't take his words with grains of salt. On the other hand, Jake is leaving no stone unturned in trying to transition into professional boxing. Going from making slime videos on YouTube to fighting legitimate boxers in the ring is a big jump, one that a lot of fans are not ready for yet. Don't get me wrong, that still doesn't mean he's qualified enough to step into the ring with boxing legend Mike Tyson. This matchup didn't sit right with anyone, and even though it has started growing on fight fans, Joe Rogan is against it.
Harry Holmes, I think that Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time. I don't think anybody with him.
There are levels to this sport, and a fraud and wannabe boxer like Jake Paul doesn't deserve the opportunity to put up gloves against Mike Tyson. Those aren't my words, that's all Joe Rogan. And Jake's recent starring footage has turned these claims to stone. In the video, you can see Jake Paul looking confident, and then, bam, he's wobbling like he just got done with the world's hardest leg day. Now, every fighter has seen bad days during training, right? While sparring fails are usually kept private, this one somehow made its way into the public eye, and the footage has been making the rounds on social media. Jake's been very public about his intense career switch and shares all elements of boxing with his fans. Yeah, you can look up dozens of videos of him training and sparring, but his latest sparring video has really taken the fight world by storm. Now that clearly doesn't look like a guy who's supposed to have two of the toughest fights of his career in the next 3 months. Instead of going to training and gearing up, Paul is busy promoting his new brand, W, and pranking fans at Walmart. Jake isn't ready to fight Iron Mike, and it can't get more obvious than this. Fights fans have been questioning this bout ever since it hit the news in March. This bombshell announcement shook the entire fight world, flipping opinions of Jake Paul on their head. Sure, he's proven himself in the ring, but taking on the baddest man on the planet after knocking out a few retired MMA stars and basketball players? The problem child may have overestimated his abilities this time. Joe Rogan isn't holding back, shouting from the rooftops that this matchup is a big mistake.
Crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as He can crack.
But
Fighting other celebrities or retired athletes is a world away from stepping into the ring with a seasoned pro like Mike Tyson. Jake Paul needs to understand. He can't let his keep slipping by for long. Come on, you and I both know that you can't compare fighting Tyson to bouts against Tommy Fury or Nate Diaz. This time, he's squaring off against the scariest competitor on the planet. And that's no small feat. Joe Rogan's recent verbal showdown of Jake Paul's training and mindset is sparking major debate. The UFC commentator suggests Jake may be letting his overconfidence take the reins, and fans are picking up on it too. Since the Tyson fight was announced, Paul hasn't taken it seriously, treating it like a walk in the park. We all know Jake tends to teeter on overconfidence, but this time, he's pushed it too far. The UFC commentator is going off. The kid has worked hard and he's taken on some tough opponents. But this knockout? This is a wake-up call. If I were Jake Paul, I'd steer clear of his way unless I wanted another punch in the face. Iron Mike and Jake Paul are set to step into the ring on November 15, 2024 for the biggest fight of the year. This one's so big that even Netflix is on board to stream it as their first live event on the streaming platform. This highly talked about matchup has stirred up a frenzy, but in the middle of all the hype, the fight world is forgetting that Jake Paul has another challenge to tackle before facing Tyson. In just a few weeks, he's set to go head-to-head with Mike Perry, and this bout promises to be a nail-biter. You might think Paul has the upper hand here, But Perry, at 32 and in his prime, brings a whole different level of competition. Unlike the older opponents Paul has faced recently, Perry poses some real challenges in the ring. Yeah, this guy is as tough as they come. Mike Perry made his mark in the UFC with a record of 14-8-0. Yeah, he's no world champion, but don't let that fool you. His real domain is the bare knuckle fighting champion, where he rules the canvas and dominates all his opponents. Platinum Perry is undefeated in bare knuckle bouts with a flawless 5-0 record, making him the league's standout star and poster boy. While his pro boxing record shows just one match, an unfortunate loss to Kenneth McNeil, Perry's powers in bare knuckle speaks volumes. If there's anyone capable of pulling an upset in the ring against Paul, it's this guy right here. Perry originally wanted to face Paul in a bare knuckle bout, but Paul wanted to go for a conventional boxing match instead. However, that didn't change anything. Our guy Perry still believes that he can send Paul crashing onto the canvas. On the other hand, Jake Paul believes Perry will be an easy opponent, and bagging a significant win will help him cement his status as a legitimate boxer before locking horns with Tyson. However, former MMA star Michael Bisping disagrees. He's sending Jake Paul a brutal warning. Turns out, the YouTuber turned boxer is underestimating his upcoming challenge.
Mike Perry is a fighter. Mike Perry wasn't necessarily the best jiu-jitsu artist or had the best wrestling, but there's not a fight that Mike Perry won't take. I've spoken to Mike Perry on several occasions, and he is the epitome of a real fighter. And he's an absolute star in the bare knuckle organization. Jake Paul, I think he's made a tremendous mistake here because he's a real fighter. He's going to get in shape. He's not afraid to mix it up, and he's going to go right at Jake Paul.
Jake Paul versus Mike Perry is just around the corner, so it won't be long before we find out how this matchup will turn out. One thing's for sure, this bout can put Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul in jeopardy. Think for yourself, what if Mike Perry does the unthinkable and knocks out Paul in a humiliating fashion? A loss that big can change everything for Paul, so he's really risking a lot by taking this fight. Now let's jump back to the juicier matchup of Tyson versus Paul. Yeah, it's a terrible mismatch, but I'm here for all the drama they've been feeding us. Mike's in training, gearing up like a beast, while all Jake is doing is throwing verbal jabs at him. Normally, you'd expect a former Disney star to bring his best against the undisputed face of the sport. There's no denying that matchup is set to be Jake's toughest challenge yet in the ring, and I'm not sure he fully understands what he's facing. Every boxing expert out there is advising Paul to reconsider for good reason. It's not too late to make a run for it, is it? Instead of taking the fight seriously, Paul seems to be biting off more than he can chew. There simply isn't enough time for him to fight Mike Perry, recover, and then prepare to face Mike Tyson in November. What is Jake even thinking? Yeah, confidence is great, but this guy is tiptoeing into overconfidence territory, which could backfire. Mike is known for absolutely losing it in the ring, and he's not going to spare Paul when he's finally standing in front of him.
Put your mother in a straight jacket, you punk-ass white boy. Come in and tell me that if I punk white boy, you faggot. You can't touch me, you're not man enough. I eat your alive, you come and say in my face for everybody. You come on, you.
That's not a guy you'd ever want to mess with, and Jake is making a serious mistake. Here's the deal. Jake loves taking shots at his opponents, which hypes up the fight. But there's a fine line between trash talk and disrespect, and Jake seems to always cross it. Athletes like Nate Diaz and Tommy Fury can handle the banter, but Mike Tyson? He hits back, and he hits back hard. Jake's been on Mike's bad side since questioning his ability to step into the ring and compete, and what he's forgetting is that boxing is in Mike's blood. He's a natural. Despite being 57, he's training like he's 25 and pushing through intense workouts. He's putting everything into preparing for this epic bout. Watching Mike's latest training footage, you might even wonder if he's forgotten he's a boxing legend. He's training like a newcomer preparing for their first fight. Jake's about to regret this the second he sees the baddest man on the planet on the other side of the ring. Boxing fans want Mike to end Jake's career in the ring once and for all, and that's exactly what the boxing legend plans on doing. Well, don't you all want to see Jake get a good beating by Mike? I don't know about you, but he really gets on my nerves with his backhanded comments sometimes. So what do you think about the whole Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fiasco? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more boxing drama and updates. And hey, hit that like button too.